very best. Which begs the question, if we're not going to be a constitutional republic and you guys are just kind of, fleecing us in our people for their life, liberty, and property, we're out on secession.
See, and that's the thing that sucks, though, is, so many people have brought that up, right? Mm-hmm. And so, of course, me being who I am, I love like digging into things. And so when I've heard that, I'm like, what would it really take if we decided we wanted to do that, right? And then I dig into it, the way they have it set up, because they have like Texas versus white right after the Civil War, to basically makes it to where we're a indestructible union and we're not allowed to secede, the way that we have it set up in the Constitution. But I'm like, surely there's got to be like a loophole, somewhere.
Yeah, it's just public culture and public will. At that point, it's like, hey, listen, your life can be better. We can strip away this ridiculous layer of government that we really don't need and really just kind of wants us to, do whatever they say and continue to terrorize our people.
Well, and it costs us more money to have the federal government than it does for it not to. And I'm one of those people, like, I believe that everything started with the best of intentions. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, well, if we pull our money together, then we'll be able to do more. And like, I'm sure, like, just the type of person I am, I'm like, surely, like, in the beginning, it wasn't intended to turn into the shit show, for lack of a better term, that it's become. But it has. And, like, we talk about, like, education is, like, the one thing that here seems to be the first thing that comes up. It's like, oh, well, then what do we do about education? And I'm like, you realize that for every dollar that we put through the Department of Education, by the time it comes back to our schools, it's like 40 cents. Like, that's why private schools do so much better. It's not necessarily because they're getting more money. It's because the money goes straight to them and they get to decide what they're going to spend their money on. They have their boards there at the school that decide what their budgets are going to be. It's not, federal government being given to you and you're like, you have to use this percentage on technology and this percentage on this, because perfect example, like I was saying with the Chickasaw Nation, right? If they just came through and donated a whole bunch of technology that's brand new, you don't need that in your budget. So people are forced to, well, let's just spend the money on something, even though we don't need it, so we don't lose it, right? So then that's wasted money. Or we run into situations where, we're not giving them the ability to spend it on what they really need.
Yeah.
You look at just like the country as a whole and how different like California is from Oklahoma, from Georgia, but even just within our state, we have a lot of very rural areas. You know what I mean? Like, very
I've been
rural
there.
areas.
Yeah, it's very rural.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
damn near untouched in a lot of places.
Exactly. And so even within our state, it's hard to make rules that really, make sense for all of the school districts, because here in Edmond, where I live, I'm lucky that I live in a very great community and a great town. So we have, like, for our schools, like, we don't really need like PE, for example, or sports equipment, because we have multiple YMCAs. We have all these sports groups. Like, there's all of these activities that are available to children of all ages to keep them active, right? And even they have scholarships for the people who are lower income. So it's not an issue of like availability or cost or anything. But if you go to like, Prague, Oklahoma, or something like that, where they don't have a YMCA, they don't have anything. So it might make more sense for them to put more budget into those areas. So that way the children have ways to, play in sports and be active. And we've taken those decisions away from the parents and the teachers and the schools. And, that's always the easiest way for me to resonate to the other political parties when they're concerned about how education would work and stuff like that. I'm like, guys, it would benefit us so much more if we could just take all those layers out.
Yeah, take the federal layer off, and really, I mean, it sounds like you're very into localism in terms of education.
Yes, I'm into localism about everything. We have, as you know, within the Libertarian Party, we have our own, one side or the other. And, I am not one of those that think that, complete anarchy and no government, but I do believe in making it as small and as local as possible. Because if within your town, if you guys agree, like, hey, we want to do this, and us within our town, you have the ability to move to another town if you don't like that, or you have those decisions that you can make local. But we shouldn't be making, decisions that really affect the local people from a state level or federal level. Like, those decisions need to be made by the people that it impacts.
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out and touch your sheriffs. You can touch your mayors. I mean, the city councilmen.
I don't know if I'd recommend that, but yeah.
Yeah, they're yucky. I mean, don't
go touching people. Just don't do that.